This podcast is part of the Batman Universe Podcast Network, hosted by the BatmanUniverse.net. Check out everything related to Batman and the entire Bat family at the BatmanUniverse.net, including news and original content related to comics, movies, television, merchandise, video games, and more. Also, check out some of the other unique podcasts that TBU has to offer. Consider supporting this podcast by becoming a patron on Patreon. Even $1 can go a long way in supporting this content that you enjoy. Look for a link over at the BatmanUniverse.net to offer your support now. And now, on with the show.
Hey everybody, this is Tim, former GameStop employee. My name is Dane, and with me, as always, is Tim. And Tim, I do have a question for you.
Regarding GameStop question? GameStop.
Yeah.
All right.
So when you were an employee of GameStop, when you guys used to have sales on a game, let's say you had a sale on Madden, right? The Madden game, right?
Okay.
Would you keep on promoting that until your stock ran out?
Nah, not really.
Okay.
Like I said before, when items were on sale, that wasn't the big push. It was always reserving new and upcoming games. That was always the big focus.
Oh, so
that and suggesting trade-ins.
Oh, and suggesting trade-ins.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. You see, I was wondering because, I've been seeing game deals, and I've noticed that it's the same game over and over again. And I was just wondering if, wonder if GameStop, I wonder if they just promoted, sales on certain games just to get rid of their stock, because they maybe over-ordered or whatever.
They really had sales when I was there. I mean, when I first started, they didn't even do a weekly ad. It was like a few months after I started when they first started doing weekly ads to advertise, obviously, some good deals and whatnot, and buy two, get one free weekends or stuff like that. But never really made it a point to the employees where focus on selling this particular game that's on sale. Never got that mandate from upper management or anything.
So what about strategy guides or I don't know, controllers or
those are always called the add-on sales. But again, not as big of a focus as reserving new games. That was priority number one. You can't let the customer, or I should say, you can't finish your transaction with the customer until you ask them, hey, is there an upcoming game you'd like to reserve? We got this coming out. Try to suggest something based off the game they're currently buying. If you know there's a similar game coming out later on, suggest that.
So how would you put it if somebody comes in and buys Madden, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the new game is Final Fantasy. How do you sort of connect the two together?
Can't really connect those two, but you'd probably suggest another sports game. Or believe it or not, I would even get people to pre-order the next year's Madden right then and there. There would be those diehard Madden players who would pre-order the next one right away as they're purchasing the current one.
Really?
Yep.
Just for the reservation of the pre-order, I guess you could call it, of a game.
Just to be safe. Yep, they wanted to make sure they'd have next year's game good to go. Because Madden was always a big deal. It was like the first big game of the holiday season of all the big game releases that start for the end of the year. That was usually the kickoff, no pun intended, to the upcoming big games that are coming out for the year.
Yeah, but I don't get why they push the pre-orders so much. What does GameStop get out of that?
Well, it's guaranteed. Well, not 100% guaranteed, because you can always cancel it. But potential for guaranteed sales, I guess, is a better word to use for it. The potential of having that sale.
I see. Well, your GameStop stories never cease to impress me.
Glad they could enlighten you. I'm definitely glad I'm not working at during this period, during obviously the busy holiday season with new consoles out, and I'm sure that I'm getting badgered with questions of, do you have the PS5? Do you have the Xbox One Series X? Nonstop.
Yeah.
It's funny. I actually never worked there during a console launch.
Really?
Because I started 2 years after the PS2 came out and a year after the Xbox and GameCube. So I was pretty early in that console generation of the PS2, Xbox, and GameCube.
Dreamcast?
Dreamcast was gone by that time. We would sell their used games though in systems, but not new systems.
That went way fast, Dreamcast.
It lasted 2 years. I remember I got one the day Sega announced they're no longer making consoles and they're discontinuing it, and the price dropped, and figured I might as well snatch one up. Still got it somewhere.
Yeah. Well, anyway, let's get to our Dark Knight Rises minute by minute commentary, because we're getting to the end. I don't know how much. I think I said 3, so 2 more shows that we'll be doing Dark Knight Rises.
I believe you said 2, and I went 1 minute higher where I said 3. So
okay,
we'll see where we're at. Who's more likely to win that prediction in this episode?
Yeah. But as always, grab your VHS copy, grab your Blu-ray copy, grab your Laserdisc, your beta tape, grab your. Did I say Laserdisc? I did, right?
Yes.
Grab your PS4 copy, I guess you could say. Xbox One copy, if you bought it for that system.
Bought a system just to play the Dark Knight Rises.
Grab your Blockbuster membership card, grab your Netflix physical subscription, grab your DVHS copy and the VHS player, and grab our favorites and our VHS to DVD converted copy. So with
always be number 1.
Yeah, always be number 1 in our book. So with that, like we say at the end of every,
wow, you're cutting the episode short today, Dave.
Yeah. No. Well, I was thinking about. Do you think? There's people that only play Nintendo games, right? Like they only play Super. And I'm talking about like they only play Super Nintendo games or the original NES games, yes. Right? Like no matter what console comes out, they just play they just love their Super NES. I wonder if there's people that like no matter what comes out, like what new media format, they only like VHS, so they have to convert every new movie to VHS.
Wow.
Yeah.
If there is someone out there like that, I would love to meet them.
Yeah.
I want to hear the reasons why and just how they get their enjoyment out of movies just from VHS only, despite the many years now of enhanced quality.
Yeah, so you can have one VHS for the movie and then one VHS for all the special features on the
creating your on the VHS tapes to make sure you know what you're watching.
But anyway, are you ready, Tim?
I am ready.
Okay, so 3, 2, 1, hit play.
As there seems to be some pearls missing from the manifest. I wonder where they could be. And at this point, this is where Alfred is making his way to his cafe. This is where pretty much 100%, yeah, we're going to see Bruce Wayne a little bit.
I don't know, Tim. It's been a while.
I like how Gordon just noticed the bat signal right there when he was kind of looking around on the rooftop and didn't notice it. I guess it wasn't in his peripheral vision just quite yet, but
it
still seemed to be hard to miss.
It's still lit, that's why. So like you have to wait for the sun to go down.
Okay, but just the light itself, like the lamp for it. On the rooftop.
What was Alfred drinking, by the way? What is that? Like a espresso?
It looked like it. Did he say what he was drinking when he was telling Bruce that story in the beginning of the movie?
Oh, I can't remember.
Yeah. Well, we got to do the commentary all over again just to find out.
But that's it for a commentary. We're getting close to that.
We're pretty darn close to the end right now. We might make it in the next episode, I think.
I mean, this has been a sojourn. This has been a journey.
But quite the fun one.
Yeah, like every single little detail you will notice. But Tim,
now the fun part is. I'm sorry. The fun part is going to be after we finish. Go back to the episode where we first started this. I'll have to look up to see what number that is. I think it's when we're still in like double digits in episodes, and then listen to each commentary one by one. And the offer still stands. If anyone ever wants to edit them all together to have a full length commentary from me and Dane on The Dark Knight Rises, feel free.
Yeah, I was just about to say, if anybody wants to patch it together to make like one big long commentary, that'd be a task.
A task where you'd forever have our admiration.
But why don't you tell everybody about our feature topic for this episode, Tim?
Yeah, so speaking of video games, as we were talking about just a few minutes ago at the beginning, Dane, I got to give you congratulations. You got it. You got a PS5. Just when we thought all hope was lost, you were able to get one. And I'm so happy.
Do you want to hear the story about what happened?
Yeah, so before you start, obviously our feature topic is going to be our reviews for the PS5 and in particular its premiere launch game, Spider-Man Miles Morales. But Dane, yes, I want to hear the story, how it seemed completely hopeless that you wouldn't be getting one probably until next year, and you got one just a few days after launch. So let me hear it.
Okay. So Sony they screwed up their launch, their PS5 launch, right?
They screwed up their pre-orders. They screwed up their launch.
The pre-orders. They screwed up their pre-orders, right? And they said that they're going to try again, and there's going to be more consoles. Technically, that happened, right? So GameStop had it. I think that was the second wave. GameStop had it. But unfortunately, they don't ship to Hawaii, right? Mm-hmm. They don't ship the console to Hawaii. So that was off the table for me. And then, all these other sites that I've never heard of had it.
Like ones you don't know if you can really trust.
Yeah, like this Ant Online. Apparently it's legit and it's good and people should order from there. But I just wasn't sure at the time, so I was like, oh, I don't know. But then I ended up, trying to get on their website when they launched it, and their site crashed. Like there was no chance I could even load the page, right?
Like you couldn't even put it in a cart or anything.
Yeah, so same thing with Walmart. Around this time, still couldn't. I mean, I couldn't even load the page on my computer, so there's no way I'm putting in my cart, checking out, and getting that confirmation email, right? So then the third wave was GameStop again, I think, and still, yet again, I couldn't get one because they don't ship to where I am. So I even asked him, can I use your address, your address to send it to your house so that you can send it to me when you after you get it. I mean, there are companies that do that, freight forwarders and stuff, mail forwarders and stuff. The military uses that a lot. The military personnel, but it costs a lot, right? Because you're asking somebody to receive something, send it to you, to wherever you're at. So that was off the table. So yeah, no luck. So launch day comes, and I for once thought ahead of time, and I took November 12th and the 13th off.
Wow, just in case. I didn't know about that part.
Yeah, so the 11th was Veterans Day, right? So I had that day off. So I took off November 12th and November 13th, just in case. So November 11th comes, and I think GameStop, Walmart, Target, and I think that was it. I think those two sites launched early, or I guess not early because it was about 7 o'clock, so that would be 12 o'clock on the East Coast, right, for me. So they launched at 7 o'clock my time. I couldn't get on Walmart site. I just could not get on. And then when I did, I couldn't. I mean, I could put it in my cart, but the checkout I couldn't get through. So then I went to the Target site, and the Target site I could put it in my cart, but the Target that I would pick it up at, because for some reason you could only pick it up. Target I could only pick it up at is like an hour and a half away. So I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'll just put it in there. I put it in my cart, checking out, and I get to that confirmation page, and there was an error. So then I go back, and it's all gone. It's all gone. So then I'm feeling down at this point because I've tried twice on one day, and it's still, there was nothing. So then November 12th comes, and Walmart announces that they're going to have PS5 sales at 12 o'clock that day, East Coast time, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and I think 9 o'clock. So they're going to have 4 windows of opportunity for you to get one. So then I try at 12, which is 7 o'clock in the morning, my time. No luck. Same thing. I put it in my cart. I try to go to that next stage of the process, and it errors out. I try it again and again and again and again, and I still can't get it. So 3 o'clock comes, same exact thing. I just cannot get through. And then 6 o'clock comes, I think. And like I try, or this is right before 6 o'clock, so maybe like 5:50 or 1:50 my time, right? It's like I'm getting ready, and then I see a Twitter alert that says Amazon has it for sale. So then I just go straight to Amazon. The person put the direct link in their tweet, and I check out, and then I get the confirmation. But then I'm not really sure, because then I go back to the Amazon page, the PS5 page, and it said it was sold out. So I was like, oh no, did I get one? And then I still didn't get the email confirmation. And I'm just like, you know what? I didn't get it. I mean, I was too slow again. But then I finally got the email confirmation that, yeah, my order did go through. And I didn't quite believe it. I did not believe it until Amazon took the $500 from my bank account. I was watching my bank account.
It better be true at that point.
Yeah, I think it was Saturday. They took the money out, and I was like, okay, I got it then. Because
that was pretty similar to how I got it. Just seeing a tweet that having a link to Amazon and just being fortunate enough to see it right away and get it in time.
Yeah, I mean, I was playing Miles Morales, right? When
on the PS4, obviously.
On the PS4, right? On the PS4, and I just so happened to look at my phone, or the alert on my phone, and I was like, "Oh, okay." Because earlier in the day, I realized, or I'd gone to Amazon and I typed in PlayStation 5, and they took down their pages. If you typed in PlayStation 5 at that time, Thursday morning, the 12th of November, they took down the page. And I was like, that's odd, So then I had an inkling that they would have it because they took down their page and everybody else has it. Why doesn't Amazon have it? And I was just fortunate enough to get it. And I still can't believe it. I mean, I'm looking at it right now. I still can't believe it.
It is pretty hard to miss.
Definitely. I didn't expect it. That it was going to be so big.
Same here. Yeah. I mean, I've heard and saw videos that it's huge, but you don't get a full scope of just how big it actually is till you see it yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And just tracking that shipment, like a hawk, making sure it doesn't get lost or whatever.
Did you take the day off of work for when it was supposed to arrive as well, just to be sure?
I didn't. It was too short of a notice, so I couldn't. But had I known, I would have.
Hey, but that was smart. Planned ahead and it worked out to where you got it on one of those days you took off.
Just a random tweet. Like I follow this guy because he posts like a lot of the video game deals and accessory deals. And I just set an alert, like I want to say like a year and a half ago, just so I could be, like, oh, if there's a sale, I want to know about it. I can buy the game or the accessory or the what have you, right? And it came through, so I can't believe it. It's crazy. The guy's name is Wario64. He posts.
I think I know. I know that account. Yeah.
Yeah, he posts a lot of Nintendo stuff. Obviously, like a lot of Switch stuff, Switch accessories, Switch games, Switch deals. So. Yeah, I gotta thank him or her, whoever it is.
Whoever runs that account.
Whoever runs that account, I gotta thank you because you were the lifesaver. You were the reason why I don't have to deal with sites that don't load because their servers are overloaded. Getting to checkout, but not being able to get it. So, thank you.
And also for recording this episode and just hearing me talk about the PS5 and you not have one. I imagine it wouldn't be the most fun recording for you. So
I know that would have driven me up the wall to talk about, DualSense is so great and yada yada.
So yeah, that's awesome. So glad you were able to get one.
Yeah.
So once you got, now let's talk about the actual system itself.
Well, can I ask you a question before we get to that?
Yeah.
Do you know anybody else that's gotten one? I only know one person two people that have gotten
one. Just a few people who I follow on Twitter. I know we're able to get one as well. But yeah, so the system itself, I mean, obviously we talked about the size of it, but just how it runs and the DualSense controller, I mean, so far it's living up to my expectations as far as how it was being built as what to expect for a next-gen console system. And before we get to the actual games, I mean, the biggest selling point I kept hearing about the PS5 from different reviews for it and kind of some of the big features that make it feel like a next-gen are the loading times and the DualSense controller. And boy, are those delivering right off the bat. I mean,
Yeah.
Just speaking of the loading times first, it's just insane how fast it is. I mean, been waiting for this ever since the PlayStation 1 days, where loading, that was kind of our first experience with loading on a video game console and how long it would take. And you would think next console generation would get better and better, and sometimes there'd be no improvement. But for this console generation, pretty much no load times is finally here. And it is fantastic. I can't imagine, or I should say, I imagine it's going to be hard for when I play some games on a current or last gen, I should say now, and experiencing those load times is going to be kind of hard to deal with after the more you play with the PS5 or an Xbox One Series X, just how quick it is. I mean, it's just talking about real quick in Spider-Man Miles Morales. Remember in the first Spider-Man game, how when you would fast travel on the subway, you'd have that loading screen of the Spider-Man sitting on the subway, sitting by people. That doesn't exist on the PS5 version of Miles Morales when you fast travel. You pick a location you want to go to, you're there in 2 seconds. It's just insane how fast it is. And just no loading at all throughout the game. It's just incredible.
Yeah, it's like a quick little cutscene of, I don't know, Miles doing a backflip or being invisible and somebody bumping into him. But it is nothing like the PS4, especially with games like Assassin's Creed Valhalla and Watch Dogs Legion. I could not believe how fast it was. On PS4, it was close to like a minute and a half, I want to say, for both those games to load. Especially when you're loading into the game for the first time, because it has to load everything that you need. But with the PS5, it is, I couldn't believe it. I looked down and I looked back up and I was loaded into the game completely. It's it's kind of amazing.
Yeah. Especially for anyone who's played games as long as we have. Like I said, going back to the very first PlayStation, it's just, like I said, can't believe that moment is finally here for a video game console. It's just incredible. We're waiting so long for that, and it's going to be hard to go back to anything else with loading because I'm definitely going to play the new Zelda, Hyrule Warriors Calamity Ganon, after I finish Spider-Man Miles Morales. And I imagine the worst part about going back to that is just going to be the loading times and just going, man, come on, I'm just so used to instant gameplay action now. So it's just insane how good it is. But
yeah, I think from the home of the PS5, the home screen of the PS5 to launching the game, I think it's only like 18 to 20 seconds. Like
it doesn't even feel that long, really. Yeah. It might even be quicker than that.
It's like you're at the home page, you click on the game, you click on your continue or whatever, and you're just in there already. So
yeah, that's going to be the first thing you notice about the system right away. But then the other big feature that a lot of reviews I was seeing of that surprised a lot of people was the DualSense controller for the PS5. And it's kind of the first PlayStation system that's breaking tradition as far as having the most drastic change in design for a controller. Obviously, there were some enhancements and adjustments for every new console for the PlayStation, but the basic design was always pretty much the same for the PlayStation DualShock controller. This one is probably the biggest change as far as it's how it looks, but it still feels great in your hands. It feels like you're holding a PlayStation controller still. But I was curious to see if the DualSense features would be as great as everyone was saying it was. And when I first was playing Spider-Man Miles Morales, I could tell a difference. It felt good, but it wasn't blowing me away or thinking, this is what everyone was kind of making a big deal about. But then when you play in the preloaded game, that's kind of like a tech demo for the PS5 DualSense controller. I believe it's Astro's Playroom is what it's called. And boy, does that game really show just what the DualSense controller can do if the developers decide to utilize all its features, because it is definitely an immersive experience like no other controller can do. The way it has that feedback and vibration for the different environments that you're in, the different terrain that you're walking on, wind blowing, you across the different levels. and the way it utilizes the microphone. I didn't even realize there was going to be a microphone in there. I probably just missed people talking about that or forgot about it. But once they kind of had you do a section in that game where you had to blow into it to create a gust of wind to turn a windmill or something, it was like, oh, didn't realize it was going to have this feature. But boy, it's just really cool to get that sense of immersion with the feedback that controller gives you, especially in levels in the Astro Boys playroom where it's raindrops. That was the biggest one for me, where it's raining and you just feel the drops on your hand that the controller is making that motion. It just really captures that feel. And walking against sand and how that feels different from walking against grass, it just really captures that, the different environments in that DualSense controller. That was really impressive. And the game is actually pretty fun too. It's just kind of a nice, I haven't finished it yet, but you collect different objects of the PlayStation consoles histories, which is pretty cool. So you're kind of building this museum of PlayStation consoles past, like the systems, controllers, memory cards, all that stuff. So it's a pretty cool built-in game to kind of get you familiar with what the DualSense controller can offer. And just from the first level I played, it really showed how impressive that controller can be if utilized right. So I definitely agree with those reviews, and when they were saying that maybe the biggest game changer for the PS5 at this point is the DualSense controller. It is really cool.
Yeah, and I don't know if you've played it, but Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War.
No, I haven't.
The DualSense really makes it more realistic. When you bring the gun up to the iron sights, there's a lot of resistance, like almost too much resistance.
Yeah.
And then when you start shooting, there's, again, it's the same thing where it feels like that there's almost too much resistance. And it's a good change, I think, because I don't think I can go back now, Tim. I don't think I can go back to the DualShock 4, where it's just, it just rumbles in your hand, But another thing that should be brought up is the faster downloading times, because when I got it, I was playing through the Astro's Playroom, like how you were, just loving the DualSense, especially when you're in that spring machine thing.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, like how you actually feel the spring being loaded, like being pushed down and then released.
On the triggers, yeah.
Yeah, on the triggers. So yeah, I was playing Astro's Playroom, and in the background I was downloading Miles Morales, and it must have been 35 minutes, and it downloaded the entire game. So another thing for me is the lightning fast downloading times, because I remember downloading one of the Arkham games, and it on the PS4, when I'd had the PS4 for a while, and I remember looking at the download page, and it was like 5 hours, like 6 hours. And this one downloaded in, like 34, 35 minutes, So yeah, that the download speed of the PS5 is amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty quick when I was downloading. I downloaded I got the Ultimate Edition of Miles Morales that came with the remastered of the first Spider-Man game. That did download pretty quick as well, so that is great. And also, too, just the layout of the new home menu for the PS5 just looks a lot cleaner and smoother than the PS4 one did. Just like how everything is compact and just laid out is a lot more cleaner, I felt, and doesn't feel too many things on the screen in your home menu. I think the new layout is really nice as well.
Yeah, that's true. And I'm sure this is going to change, as the life cycle goes on. But I like how snappy everything is right now with the UI and everything of the PS5, because like with the PS4, it was getting to the point where things weren't loading correctly. it took a long time for things to load. Like, let's say you wanted to go all the way to your game library, right? At the end of, that sort of menu bar thing.
Yeah.
So you would go all the way to the right, and you would have to wait like 20, 25 seconds for that icon to load so you can click on it. But with this, with the PS5, it seems to not have that problem where everything loads correctly. It's there when you need it. It does get, it does have some getting used to. It's stuff that you have to get used to, especially when you're in a game and you hit the PS button, the PlayStation button, and you want to go home. You want to go back to the home screen. Now it's an extra button press. Whereas with the PS4 controller, the DualShock 4 controller, it just automatically brought you back to that home screen. Now you get a sub menu, and you can go to your game base. You can look at your friends. There's this thing called Game Switcher. I'm not sure what that is yet.
Yeah, I haven't clicked that yet because it has the logo of whatever game you're playing as that, right? Because when I see it has the Spider-Man logo there. Yeah, so I guess you could switch your game from right then and there, I guess?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess so. Another cool thing is, it's a really, really little thing. So I was playing PS5 last night. Tim logged on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I went to my friends list, and I saw Tim's PSN name, and there was a little icon next to it, and it showed that it was the PS5 icon, so like a console standing up with a controller.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yeah,
I haven't noticed that on any of my friends list.
I looked below, and there was another person, and they had the PS4. They were playing on PS4, so then it was the console lying flat and the controller. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah, it lets you know what friends have PS4s and PS5s. And another thing too, which is great about it, the system is super quiet. You can't hear it running at all like you would the last generation consoles, which is really impressive just considering how much power it's putting out and its visuals and everything. So that's another cool feature with the system that is nice to finally have, because the last few console generations, they were pretty darn loud. So it's great that to finally have a quiet one. I hear the same thing about the Xbox Series X as well. But probably the only big negative with the PS5 as far as the hardware goes is its memory storage, because I'm pretty much more than halfway out of space on the hard drive that it came with both Spider-Man games installed, and I put Final Fantasy VII Remake on there, and I think I'm already down to like 400 gigs left. Wow. So I probably have enough room for just 2, maybe 3 more games. So that is something where, depending how much games you're going to buy, you might have to delete and reinstall, because they don't have an option for any external or added SSD memory, correct? Because I heard that was one of the negative features for its launch anyway, but I know they're going to have some later on, but as of right now, you can't really do anything about that.
Yeah, it's something with the external hard drive manufacturers, like they can't make one fast enough right now, or the connection isn't fast enough or something, for it to load from the external hard drive to the PS5. So I think that might be it. But that was the same case with the PS4. So
I don't remember for that one.
It's to be expected. Yeah.
It's just still kind of frustrating that these consoles, when they first launched, they still don't give you good memory sizes. Like, come on, it can at least be a full terabyte. Ideally, 2 terabytes would be nice, but just 1 full terabyte. It's listed as 800 gigs on the box, but in reality, it's only 600 after all the pre-installed operating systems are on there. So that's still a little frustrating, but some I'm sure you'll be able to fix later down the line. But as far as the launch goes, it was something that could be annoying for, I know, gamers who are going to get a lot of games to play on there. Which brings me to the next question, Dane. How many games did you actually get for the PS5?
4.
Oh, wow.
4.
Okay.
Yeah, so Miles Morales was the first one I bought. Watch Dogs Legion was the first one I bought. Then Miles Morales. Then Assassin's Creed Valhalla. And then Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So before we get into Spider-Man Miles Morales, what are your thoughts as far as what out of those three, Watch Dogs, Call of Duty, and Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which one stood out to you the most as far as being the best showcase for the PS5?
It's easy. And I would even include Miles Morales in this. It is Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Okay.
That was jaw dropping. To be honest. But on PS4, there's a lot of I don't know what you call it, graphical muddiness, I guess you could say, where things just sort of blend into each other. Especially when you're up high and you look off into the horizon. I don't know. You see, I don't really know how.
There's no words to describe it, huh?
Yeah, it's like they tried to cover it up, with rolling fog and stuff, with fog and rain clouds, but you could tell that okay, so this was made for PS5, right? And then so when I got the PS5, I could not believe how beautiful it looked. Just everything from the sun cutting through the clouds, the sunbeams. Again, like I said, the fog, rolling in, the rain clouds, the foliage, the leaves, the trees, especially when you go up close to a tree, you can see all of the little, pieces of bark and where bark is missing. Just the character models, and especially in cutscenes. This is what I really noticed, especially in cutscenes where two characters are talking. With the PS4, the lips wouldn't really match up, and the facial expressions didn't come through at all. I don't remember it at all on the PS4. But with the PS5, you can see little ticks, in the facial animation. It's more akin to Last of Us Part 2, where you could see every little wrinkle in everybody's face. You could see somebody, when they're smiling, they look like they're actually smiling. When they're angry, you can see, the furrowed brow, and their lips match what they're saying. And Assassin's Creed Valhalla for me is the best game for me right now on the PS5. It's just everything, the entire graphical upgrade, even the sound. And that's another thing. The sound, it sounds better. It sounds like there's more depth to sound. Where you're in a forest, it doesn't fit, and the tree falls, right? It doesn't sound like it's happening right next to you. It sounds like it's off into the distance, and there's layers to it. There's animal noises, there's wind blowing through the trees, and you can hear it fall. After all those separate layers. But yeah, it's a beautiful game. I could not believe the difference between the PS4 version, where everything is so choppy, and this is running 60 frames per second, and there's no graphical lag, it's so fluid. It's so what I think, they were trying to achieve. It almost feels like Assassin's Creed Valhalla was made for PS3, and I'm playing it on PS4. You know what I mean? Like it's a last generation game that I'm playing on this new console, even though it's a brand new game, and it's kind of a launch title for both the Xbox and the PlayStation. So yeah, that's why Assassin's Creed is my number one.
Nice. Now, did you get all these games on PS4 first?
Yeah, and they come with a free version. Yeah.
Okay, so you're able to compare them all to the PS5. So was that the biggest jump you would say was Assassin's Creed Valhalla?
Yeah, Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Black Ops looks almost exactly the same. I mean, I cannot tell the difference. Maybe with the light beams and the lens flares and stuff, but yeah, I couldn't really tell the difference. And Watch Dogs, yeah, I couldn't really tell the difference. Besides it running smoother. Miles Morales, I can kind of tell the difference. There's a lot more definition in the suit. You can see like the rivets a little better in the cutscenes, and like the snow falling, and
yeah, that looks great. Like,
I think that's it, or at least what I noticed. Yeah, so Assassin's Creed is the reason why I'm sort of stunted on Miles Morales right now, because I've just been, engrossed in Assassin's Creed. And plus, too, my you didn't play Miles Morales on PS4, did you?
Nope, I was just saving it for the PS5.
Okay. Yeah. My save data didn't transfer over.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was supposed
PS4,
to.
Yeah, it was supposed to on the PS4 copy. You know how you can change between the PS4 and the PS5 copy?
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't change on that. I mean, it didn't transfer over on the PS4 copy on my PS5 or the PS5 copy. So I had to start all the way back in the beginning, but I don't think I was that far. I had just gotten to the point where Prowler is talking to that guy on the phone after Miles leaves. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So, yeah, let's get into Miles Morales. So, first off, you haven't beaten the game, you said, right?
No, I have not.
So,
I've been going around and getting all of the tech upgrades and stuff, the time capsules.
Yeah.
Which really sucks because I've been having to. I've done this twice already, getting all of this stuff.
So, I wanted to try and beat it last night before we recorded. That didn't happen. I think I'm pretty close to the end. I thought maybe I could do it, but I was like getting drowsy. Like, I don't want to experience the final stages of the game. Not fully awake and alert. I'll just save it. So, right now, well, I don't want to get too far ahead of you. So, you said the last part was when Miles left talking to the Prowler after you got that sound sample? Or you passed that point?
No, I gotten right to there.
Okay. So I'm just a little bit ahead of you then. I'm like the next mission ahead of one or two missions ahead of you.
Oh, okay.
So,
that's far then.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure, because I know, especially where the story is at right now, I think it's kind of feeling like we're heading to the climactic ending. But even going into this game, I knew it was kind of going to be a shorter experience than the previous Spider-Man game. Just because by itself, the game's only $50. And there's obviously a lot of side quest stuff and gear and tech to collect, like you said. But the actual story itself is not going to be as long as the first Spider-Man game. But I'm still enjoying the heck out of it, man. I mean, we obviously loved the first Spider-Man game. It was one of the best superhero games ever. And this one is just continuing that. And just going from someone who is experiencing it first on the PS5, there are moments where I could definitely tell a difference to probably what it would look like on the PS4 or even the previous Spider-Man game on the PS4, especially in the cutscenes. Like you said, the detail on his costumes. I think the facial animations and expressions look great. And then even some of the kind of cinematic gameplay parts of the game, especially in the first level where you're fighting Rhino and you're doing that chase sequence through the mall, that looked great. It just ran super smooth. It was just really, really impressive to look at. But so far, I think we'll see what the final battle is going to be. But I think the highlight of the game is going to be the bridge sequence that they showed off in one of those first demos for Spider-Man Miles Morales that really made me think, oh man, this looks pretty impressive on the PS5. But actually getting to play that and experiencing it for yourself, it just took it to a whole nother level of how great that sequence is. That is one of the best superhero sequences I think you're going to play in a video game. And I'm going to quote one of my friends on Twitter here, Chris Clow. He, I think, described that sequence best. As fun as it is playing these superhero games where you're beating up bad guys, it's really all about saving people, and no other video game did it better than that bridge sequence in Spider-Man Miles Morales, where you got to save people from that collapsing bridge. And that sequence really encompasses everything: saving people, fighting your enemies for some cool action, and just trying to limit the destruction as Spider-Man would, is just all there. It just really, really captured everything you love about superheroes and the superhero video games, and just put it on display in such an impressive fashion with the graphics and what the PS5 can do. It was incredible. That was kind of my jaw-dropping PS5 moment. And Spider-Man Miles Morales is the only game I have on the PS5, and pretty much the reason why I wanted to get it at launch and get it before an Xbox, because I said before how the Xbox really doesn't have any exclusive launch games once Halo got pushed back. So PS5 was the way to go for me with Spider-Man and Ratchet and Clank not too far down the line. But man, that experience playing that bridge sequence was just really, really cool. And I'm just enjoying everything about it as far as the continuation of the story from the first Spider-Man game, and just getting to be in the shoes of Miles Morales and just how it feels like for him to be the hero of New York while Peter Parker is away, and just getting his perspective and just seeing how he deals with the responsibility of that is just making for a really good and engaging story, and just the pressures that comes with it as far as being a hero and some of the things you have to deal with. Don't want to give too much spoilers, but just how the enemies he encounters with as Spider-Man really affect his personal life with his friends and family. It's just making for a really compelling story as well. So I'm enjoying the heck out of it. And I think this is probably my favorite interpretation of the Miles Morales characters so far. I know Spider-Verse did a great job, and that was a lot of people's main exposures to the character. And I haven't read too many of the comics with Miles Morales. I read a few of the crossovers and team-ups that he had with the Peter Parker Spider-Man. But this version, I just love what they're doing with him as a character. And like I said, how he's dealing with the responsibility of being Spider-Man. Because one thing about the creation of Miles Morales and him taking over as Spider-Man that I always liked is him in the first comics in the Ultimate Spider-Man universe, where him taking on the responsibility of being Spider-Man because Peter Parker is dead. And he is the only sole Spider-Man in that universe, or at least for a time, and just what it's like to take on that mantle. And I always felt when the character became more popular, and then other characters were sharing the name Spider-Man, there was becoming too many Spider-Mans in one single universe, or even in certain TV shows. I think in the latest Spider-Man animated series, there's like five or more different Spider characters, kind of all sharing the Spider-Man or Spider-Woman moniker. So I like that idea of kind of having like, there's the Bat family and Batman, and then you kind of got the Spider-Man family, but they all kind of share the same name. They're all different versions of Spider-Man, or there's Spider-Woman, Spider-Girl, there's Spider-Gwen. With the Bat family, they each have their own names, obviously Nightwing, Robin, Batgirl. So this makes the Bat family more different. But in the case of Miles Morales in his first appearance, where he was Spider-Man because he was the only Spider-Man, and that made more sense. So it does, even in this new game where you got two Spider-Man and they're both called Spider-Man, it's not where it's like Batman and Robin, where one's the sidekick, one's the hero. Whereas in the beginning of this game, it does kind of feel like Miles Morales is the sidekick here. But once Peter Parker leaves on his trip, he really takes on that mantle of Spider-Man in a really cool way. So it's making it work, even though I like the idea of Miles Morales taking on the mantle of Spider-Man, because there is no Peter Parker. Even when there is a Peter Parker around, that dynamic still works really well. And when he has to step up and take responsibility when Peter is not there. So I'm really curious to see how the game is going to end with where the story is at, and then what's going to happen to certain characters, how Miles will deal with that, and just how it's going to change him probably moving forward as Spider-Man and continuing to work with Peter Parker as both Spider-Mans in New York. And we'll see if that still continues, or maybe he'll go somewhere else. Maybe in the next game, Peter will be in a different location. So I'm just really curious to see where things are going to be left once the game is over, just how it sets up future games in the series, whether it's a full-blown Spider-Man sequel with Peter Parker or another Miles Morales story. So it just, I think, really doing a good job of showcasing of what it means to be Spider-Man as Miles Morales. Just some really cool stuff. So I am enjoying the heck out of it, and I'll more than likely probably finish it tonight if where I'm at now in the game is close to the end, like I'm feeling it is. So we'll see. But man, it's making me really glad that I was able to get a PS5 at launch to play this game, just from experiencing it as a Spider-Man fan and getting a new Spider-Man game, but yet also doing a great job of showcasing of how great the PS5 is as far as being a next-gen console.
Yeah, I really like Miles Morales. Ever since I saw Spider-Verse, which I was hesitant to see, Tim, because I thought it was just another animated movie that's going to be for a certain type of audience. But yeah, that movie blew me away. And of course, with this game, I thought I thought it was just going to be a reskin Spider-Man game. You know, based off of the original one, just with a different skin, right? But I was wrong. There are certain elements, especially with the combat, that sort of get repetitive after a while. I mean, I don't know if it gets any more different as you progress, as you get more skills, as you get more moves, but it seems like it's the same as the original Spider-Man game. But with that being said, I don't know what your favorite feature is, Tim, but my personal favorite feature is Tony Hawk has finally come to Spider-Man. You can do the trick. You can do the tricks while you're swinging through the air. And,
well, you could do that in the first one, couldn't you?
I don't remember. I'm
pretty sure you could have.
You could?
Yeah.
I don't remember doing it. But with this one, I really like just swinging throughout the city. Again, I'm sure I said it during the first our review of the original Spider-Man. But with this one, and it's the same thing with this one. This has got to be one of the funnest, best ways to travel in a video game. It's so fun, again, swinging through the entire New York City. So that's probably my favorite feature. But another thing I really like is the Miles Morales spider suit. I thought it was going to be this cartoony thing because I only know Miles Morales from the Spider-Verse. I haven't read the comics. I don't know if there's another animated movie, but I only know his suit from the movie, and that one is like it's cartoony, right?
Yeah, isn't a cool trip though when you select that costume in the game? It looks exactly like the animation style and moves like the animation style of the Spider-Verse. Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, exactly, and it's the same voice actor, right? From the Spider-Verse.
I don't think it is. I think it's someone different.
It isn't?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But yeah, another thing I like is the suit, right? The Miles Morales Spidey suit. Mm-hmm. Not the first one you have, not the second one. Those look not so great, but the the black and red one is the one I really, really like. It just looks really cool, and that's all I have to say about it. It just looks really, really cool and different enough. But yeah, I've been loving this game. Not as much as Assassin's Creed, but I've definitely been loving Miles Morales. At least I know what the Puerto Rican flag looks like now. Because it's everywhere. I was like, what is that? And I had to look it up. I was like, oh, okay, so that's the Puerto Rican flag.
And another great feature about the game is you got cat rescuing missions in this one. And I can't wait to get the spider cat costume, because they had that little trailer a few weeks before the game's launch where you get the spider cat suit and you get a move, or I think it's a finisher move where the cat in a Spider-Man mask will come and assist you in your attack. And I can't wait to get that. I read you have to beat the game first before you get that. So that's another reason why I want to beat the game really quick. And then I'll finish up all like the side quests that are on the map once I get that suit and can get that spider cat attack. So yeah,
I'm just looking it up right now.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you haven't seen anything on that yet?
Oh no.
Oh, it's awesome.
That looks funny.
Yeah.
It's like, is that his arm, or is the cat attacking with
the cat is attacking? Yeah.
Oh yeah, I want this.
Because you did the side mission already, right? Where you had to rescue the cat from that store owner.
No, I haven't yet.
Oh, okay, because that was like one of the early.
No. I have. Sorry. Yeah, I have, but on my PS4 version.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, another cool thing is when you're crawling through the vents. I'm not sure if this was in the original game, but when you're going through the vents and it's clear you start off level, and then you go up into the adjoining vent, and your camera switches, so it looks like you're just going in straight.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, I really like that aspect of the game too.
Yeah, it definitely makes it easier to crawl around in the vents than ever before, and not feel like you're going in a million different directions.
But there was a couple times where, I was crawling through the vents, and I come out into a room, and I don't realize that I'm on the roof. I don't know if it happened to you, but
no, not really.
I completely forget that I was on the roof, and I was like, oh right, I was on the roof the whole time.
Now, unfortunately, I have experienced a few bugs with the game. I'm not sure if you have, but there was one instance where I was in a battle in this dock where all these shipping containers are at, and I went behind one trying to get away from some enemies, and all of a sudden I got trapped inside the shipping container. Like I could see out of it, but I couldn't get out of it. I would see the enemies kind of walking around. I couldn't get out of the shipping container, and I had to restart my game because of that, because there was no really to get out. So I had to do that one battle over again. And then another instance happened where I started a side quest, and all of a sudden Miles stopped talking. Other characters he would talk to would be speaking. I can hear him, but every time he would talk, there'd be no audio. So I had to restart that. And then one time when I loaded just my save by hitting the continue option, it started me with my original suit, but yet it would say I had the classic Miles Morales suit equipped, the cool black and red one. And then I'd be all out of my tokens. I'd be down to like 1 when before I had 100. So I'd have to close that out, reload one of my manual saves to get that back up. So it's not the perfect running game without its fair share of bugs, unfortunately, but nothing that's like a game breaker that's too frustrating, because they happen few and far between as I'm playing it, but still definitely noticeable to a point where it probably shouldn't be happening in a game like this. But other than that, that's probably my only complaint about it. Just a few bugs that needed to be squished.
Yeah, the only bug I've come across is, when you approach something or a mission objective, and you have to press triangle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sometimes it would just be the icon, and like no matter what I did, I move the camera left, I move the camera right, I move it up, I move it down. It wouldn't give me the triangle prompt. And then so I would have to stop the game, reload it, and it would be there. So yeah, that's the only bug I've noticed.
Yeah, well, a few less than I have, unfortunately. Yeah. But hopefully the rest of your playthrough, as you make your way through it, is bug-free, besides Spider-Man himself.
Oh, also, don't put your PS5 into rest mode. That's another thing.
Oh, really? I haven't heard anything about that.
Yeah,
why?
It's, you lose save data. It can brick your PS5.
What?
And it can crash the operating system.
Oh, man.
Well, yeah,
I hope an update is coming for that soon.
Yeah, I mean, people are having trouble with that. So, yeah, just don't put your PS5 in rest mode. Just turn it off for now.
Well, I'm definitely glad I have yet to ever put it in rest mode. So thank you for telling me that.
And I remember when rest mode first came to PS4. I remember that being like the big thing. Because the PS4 didn't launch with rest mode. You just have to turn it off, just like the PS3. And I remember, like, when the rest mode came out for PS4, I remember being so paranoid that it would catch fire. My PS4 would catch fire, or my game wouldn't save, or whatever. But yeah, don't put your PS5 in rest mode.
Good to know. So if you need to charge, thankfully I just use the PC to charge my controller if my PlayStation's off. So.
Oh really?
Yeah. Don't have to worry about putting it in rest mode to charge it if I'm not playing. I can just use my PC. So hopefully others have that option as well.
With the USB-C?
Yeah, just the USB cable that it comes with. I just stick it in my PC and it charges it.
Oh, I see. Yeah, because I'm having trouble with I have the PS4 headset, and I'm just trying to find like and it's just the regular USB. It's not the USB-C that comes with that plugs into the controller. So, yeah, and for some reason my computer doesn't charge my my headset, so it's swapping out USB cables from the one that comes with the controller to the one that comes with my headset and back to my controller. It's a whole thing.
That sounds like fun.
That's why I've been looking for the DualSense charging station and an extra controller, but nobody has the charging station. It's all sold out everywhere.
Yeah, it's usually the case with console launches. Chargers are the first to go.
Yeah. But yeah, I think we've talked about everything with the PS5, right?
Yep. So if you're fortunate enough to get one, hope you're all enjoying it as much as me and Dane are. Yeah. And if you don't have one yet and you want to get one, it'll be worth the wait. Trust us.
Yeah. Still getting used to the DualSense. It is a little heavier than the DualShock 4, which is, one of my favorite controllers. But yeah, getting used to it. The handles are more like a Xbox controller.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting used to it slowly but surely. So yeah, I guess we can move on to our news and discussion topics. So, Tim, there's a new Snyder Cut Justice League trailer. I'm sure you've seen it. I still not impressed. I'll be honest with you. Still not impressed.
Oh, I'm shocked, Dan. Now, did you watch the black and white one or the color one?
I believe the color one. Yeah, the color one.
Okay. Yeah, because it first came out as black and white, and to be honest, I was getting pretty excited. Oh, we're going to get a new trailer for the Snyder Cut. But when I saw it, it was playing the same Hallelujah music and starting off with the same footage. I was like, probably not going to be that much new footage in this. And there really wasn't. I mean, there was one cool new shot of Darkseid with his army of parademons that looked really cool. There was some new shots of Cyborg. And I'm trying to think if there's any too many other new ones. I only watched it a couple of times, but those are some of the ones that stood out, especially the Darkseid one. And they looked great to me. It's still getting me excited for it. But this trailer in general wasn't anything that got me extra pumped for it because it was pretty much same old, same old. So a little disappointing in that fact that there wasn't too much new in this trailer, which I'm sure we'll get one as we get closer to its actual release. But they did release some images that kind of got you probably more, or got me anyway, more excited than the trailer actually did, because we got our first look at Deathstroke in the Snyder Cut, and he's sporting a different look, has more of a mohawk hairdo than he did in the end credit scene of the theatrical cut of Justice League. And it's making me wonder, are we going to see Deathstroke in the actual current timeline of the movie, or is it going to take place in another nightmare sequence where different characters are going to be looking different than we're used to? Because I think there's reports maybe that's where we're going to see Jared Leto's Joker is in the nightmare sequence. So I'm wondering if all these reshoots and these returning actors to these roles are just going to be in the nightmare sequence. So we'll see, but Deathstroke definitely looked cool. And hopefully Joe, not even going to pronounce his last name because I'll butcher it like I always do, but hopefully he'll get to play the character more times after this, because he looks great. And even the brief little bit we saw of him in the end credit scene, I thought he looked good. Hopefully we'll see more of what he can bring to the role in the Snyder Cut, but he's definitely looking cool. So yeah, the trailer, nothing that really jumped out that got me super more excited for than I already am for the Justice League Snyder Cut. So unless you're into black and white trailers and movies, because I think Snyder said himself, his ideal way to see this or his cut of the movie is in black and white. I've split into two parts. I know, because I can understand that for certain movies, kind of like they did with Logan. But for a movie like Justice League, when you got all these colorful characters and their costumes and their powers, to me, I would want to see it in all its vibrant color that it has to offer. So I can understand the appeal to having certain movies be black and white, but for a movie like Justice League, I don't get that appeal, or at least not for me. I definitely would want to see it in color. Yeah.
And Zack Snyder needs to stop using Hallelujah for everything. It didn't work in Watchmen. It did not work in Watchmen. And it doesn't work in this Justice League trailer.
Especially for the first two, yeah.
Yeah.
So for the next one that we get, I agree. Yeah. Hopefully that's the last we hear of the Hallelujah song.
And it's Justice League the video game is what it looks like. Justice League the PS5 video game is what it looks like to me. I mean, there is so much CGI in that, and like it just looks like a PS5 game to me. This is a little launch trailer for the Justice League game that I don't know, Rocksteady is putting out or Insomniac.
Boy, that would be nice. See, yeah. You bring up a good point as far as a Justice League game. Obviously, the immediate go-to is Rocksteady for obviously the great job they did with the Arkham games. But now Insomniac and what they've done with Spider-Man, it's like, man, I'd like to see them tackle that too. But probably best not left with Square Enix and after the launch of the Avengers game and how that went.
Oh, did you play it?
No, I haven't played it yet.
Oh.
But I am not hearing good things. I think we talked about this before, is how it's kind of being considered a disappointment for most gamers. And even for Square themselves, I think they're losing money on it.
Really?
Yeah.
They're losing money on the Avengers, on a Marvel IP.
Yep.
Wow.
Because I was waiting to get it for when it goes on sale. And it actually is on sale right now with the Black Friday deals for about $30. But now I'm still kind of questioning, is it still going to be worth that much? Just from what I've heard from gamers who I know and interact with, just kind of saying how disappointing it is. So like, because they say the story's good and I want to experience the story, but it definitely wasn't worth the $60. And now I'm wondering, is it still worth $30? Should I wait till it goes down to $19.99 or something? But we'll see. I might even still get it on it when it's on sale, but I just don't know when I'm going to play it. But definitely not at the top of my list of games to play as an Avenger game should be. Definitely not where Spider-Man Miles Morales was at, that's for sure.
Yeah, supposedly that was one of the games, that people were talking about, the difference between the PS4 and the PS5, where, I guess when it launched on PS4, the Avengers game had really, really long loading times, whereas the PS5, it just, of course, it just happens really quickly. Yeah. So
I guess that's the best use for the game, to have it be a showcase of how fast the load times are for the current gen systems.
I would, to be honest, I was interested in the Avengers game, especially coming from Square Enix, but I don't know, it just sort of launched. It had all this hype, it launched, and then it disappeared really quickly. And that has me questioning, what happened? Is it not good? But that brings me to another topic, Tim. I don't know how you feel about it, but Cyberpunk 2077. How do you feel about that game? Do you think it's going to be good, or do you think it's going to be one of those games you either love or you hate?
Honestly, I really don't have any interest in it. Really? Everyone made a big deal about it when they showed the first trailer at E3 a few years ago. Yeah. And I didn't get it. It just, whatever the visual, the style of it, just didn't grab me like a video game that I would want to play and experience. And pretty much I'm at where if it gets glowing reviews and it's people saying this is like the next benchmark of gaming, it's the first true display of next-gen gaming, you got to play it, maybe I'll check it out. But right now, I just really have no desire to play it. Just like the whole visual aspect of it doesn't appeal to me. And not too sure much on the gameplay because I haven't really been following it and see what it's going to be like. So just nothing about it has really grabbed me. So I'm just kind of going to wait and see approach, I guess, for it. So I know a lot of people are excited about it, and there's some buzz surrounding it, so I'm expecting it to be pretty good, or at least as good as your AAA title games are supposed to be. But I don't know if it's going to be something that's going to be mind-blowingly good, that I know some are kind of hyping it up to be. So we'll see, but it's a game I'm definitely not going to get when it comes out right away.
Yeah, I don't even want to say cautiously optimistic about it. It's been delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed.
Because it got pushed back to next year, right?
And I think it's supposed to come out next month.
Oh, okay. I thought for some reason it was 2021. But like I said, I haven't been following it. It was supposed to come out this month. I think it was supposed to come out this month, but then they pushed it a month. And I don't know. Again, the word isn't. I don't think I'm cautiously optimistic about it, because it's been pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed, and then it's like they're trying to distract you from what's really going on with the game, because they're putting out all of this Keanu Reeves stuff, right? Uh-huh. And Keanu Reeves is just one of those actors, celebrities that people go crazy for. Just like Jeff Goldblum. Yeah, you're right.
But then, everybody loves Jeff Goldblum, but nobody went to go see Independence Day 4, right?
Yeah.
So whatever it's called. So because it wasn't a good movie. So it's got me curious about why they're putting out all of this Keanu content, and they're not focused on the gameplay, how the game's going. This is how you itemize your inventory or whatever. That one just has me really, really suspicious, and I don't know if I'm going to pre-order it. But,
well, you don't want another Anthem situation, Dane. So probably best not to pre-order it.
That is And apparently they're trying to relaunch it next year.
Really?
I don't know if you saw it yet.
No, like why bother?
They're trying to relaunch it next year. They're trying to redo it. I don't know why. Just from a technical standpoint, I don't think it works at all. But yeah, it just has me suspicious. That's all I'm saying. Hope I'm wrong. Hopefully, I'm dead wrong on this, but it just seems like, okay, so they're pushing all this Keanu content, and oh, this band is going to be in, or this singer is going to be in the game. You can do this in the game, but then what about the actual game?
That's interesting. Yeah, I didn't really know that's what they were pushing, but if I was paying attention and saw all that stuff, I'd probably be suspicious like you are. Like you said, trying to distract us with all the celebrity appearances and what the actual game's going to be. So, yeah, I guess we'll have to wait and see how it actually turns out.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. Our next piece of news is the Batman Soul of the Dragon trailer. A lot of trailers in this episode.
I know. It was trailer week this past week, really.
Yeah.
But now this one I'm excited for because just the premise of it, of having it be a 1970s kung fu Batman movie just sounds really cool. And I like that concept when it was first announced, but now seeing it in the trailer, I'm even more excited for it. Not only just for that premise, but anytime you're dealing with Bruce's training with the martial arts is something that's right up my alley. So I'm excited for that we're going to get to see that aspect of Batman in this film, and mainly Bruce, because he was probably featured more in this trailer than him in the Batsuit, but the Batsuit does look cool in this movie. But just seeing him with some of his fellow students who obviously Batman fans will be familiar with, like Shiva and Bronze Tiger. And then Richard Dragon is kind of be a character you don't see too much. And I believe this is his first, at least animated movie appearance. And just seeing them train with the master or the sensei that Bruce trained with, and just kind of them being students who train together, I think it's a cool aspect that I'm excited to see in this movie. So the story sounds cool. The animation looks good. And yeah, I'm excited for it. It should be out in January, kind of at the end of January. So I'll definitely be getting this one when it comes out.
And plus, it was produced by Bruce Timm, right?
Oh, yeah. That goes without saying. So as far as me being excited for it. Even though his track record has been hit and miss with these animated movies, because the Batman and Harley Quinn is probably the worst animated movie out of them all. And then his original story, Justice League Gods and Monsters, it wasn't horrible, but I know a lot of people love it. It just was a different take on the characters that wasn't my favorite. But hey, with Bruce Timm's legacy and career, he's allowed a few clunkers here and there. So it's not going to make me any less excited whenever his name is attached to an upcoming animated project like this one.
Yeah, I was about to say, I can't believe what you're saying, Tim.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like your patron saint of Batman, right?
You're not wrong.
Yeah, and plus, too, his name is Bruce, and his name is Tim.
I mean,
so
come
Bruce,
on. Yeah.
No, it's funny because I'm playing through Assassin's Creed, right?
Uh-huh.
And you play as Vikings, right?
Yeah.
Vikings from Norway, and then you sort of invade England, ancient England, right? And so the English, or the people of England, they're called Saxons, right?
Okay, yeah.
And so the Saxons, which is British people, they call you, the Vikings from Norway, Danes, right?
Danes.
So they you'll be wandering through a village, and this British person will say, "Oh, you filthy Dane! Dane, you get out of here!"
That must make the game feel even more immersive for you, right?
Yeah. Wow, I'm actually hurt by what you said.
I mean, that's got to be as immersive almost as a VR experience. You got the DualSense controller giving you all this new layers of immersion with how things feel, the character actually calling you by your name. I mean, come on, it doesn't get better than that.
This is true 4, 5, 6, 7D, right?
Yeah.
It's just full immersion. For me, anyway.
That's awesome. Yeah,
yeah it's like, get out of here, Dane.
So there you go. Okay, and you turn off your system, right?
Yeah. Or it's like, all you Danes do is screw with everything. And but yeah, anyway. Anyway, it's an announcement that we knew was coming, or at least I knew was coming. I didn't think we'd be over this coronavirus pandemic that we're still going through, and it's getting worse and worse with each and every day. And it's probably the wiser choice to, and I guess I should say Wonder Woman is going to be on HBO Max for free, and then in theaters on December 25th. But yeah, I could kind of see this coming already, because it's like this pandemic is just getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And we saw with Tenet, that didn't make a lot of money, and kind of, if you really think about it, it failed at the box office.
Yeah, it really did. Yeah,
because of the pandemic. And I don't know about you, but our theaters were closed.
Yeah, all my local theaters are too.
Yeah, the entire time that Tenet was in theaters, quote unquote. So yeah, this of course it should come as no surprise, right? With the way the pandemic is going, it's probably a better idea to release it to HBO Max, and people can stay home, they can enjoy the movie. Sure, it won't have that sort of X amount of dollars box office wise, but what can you do, right?
Yeah, I mean, you just got to deal with the situation that you're dealt with, and unfortunately, it never got any better for movie theaters. And to be honest, I'm kind of not surprised and surprised at the same time, because the part where I'm not surprised at is how the theaters weren't going to be open by the time December 25th rolled around and Wonder Woman would have a normal release. So I knew they would have to do something, but what I am surprised about is that they actually are going the HBO Max route day of release. And that is awesome news, because I was expecting maybe another delay for the movie, delay it till summer, and then we'd still have to wait to see it. But I'm glad they're realizing that you can't keep delaying this movie. I mean, I talked about it before once they announced this new date, how it's like its fifth release date now. It was originally supposed to come out in 2019, either November or December of that year. And you just don't want to lose the momentum for the Wonder Woman sequel, just coming off of how successful the last one is. And if you keep delaying it, not knowing when you're actually going to be able to have a full release, the excitement just might not be there for it like it should be. Or you could argue too the other way, where if it is the first big movie release once we get through the pandemic and theaters are opened again, a lot of people would go to it no matter what, because it is the first big movie and everyone's going to want to go. But again, who knows when that's going to be, and who knows even when the pandemic is over, just how movie theaters are affected by this, and if some are even going to be able to open up in full capacity like they would want to. So it just made sense for them to finally do this. And obviously I'm excited for it, because I don't have to worry about going to a theater to see it, because mine will probably still be closed by the time December 25th rolls around. But I'll be able to see it just like everyone else on HBO Max, and it's going to be great. And it's going to be probably feel pretty weird, not going to lie about that, seeing a brand new comic book movie, especially one as excited as we are for Wonder Woman 1984, and to see it for the first time at home is probably going to feel weird, but at the same time, I wouldn't have it any other way at this point. So I'm excited. I'm glad Warner Brothers and Patty Jenkins came to this decision. I'm sure it wasn't easy for Patty Jenkins. I mean, even in her statement, you can kind of tell where she still wants it so badly to be seen in theaters by everyone, and rightfully so. I totally get that. But this is, I think, the right decision, just to have everyone to see it, and because we're all excited for it. We've been excited for it for a while now, and it's just time to let everyone experience it. So I'm excited, and just at the fact that you have the option for those who have theaters that are open and are taking the safety protocols needed, like social distancing and mask requirements while you're in the theater. That's great that you have that option to go and experience it like that. But that's not going to be the case for everyone. And it's just good that everyone will be able to see it on that day. So I'm excited. It's good to finally know for sure, to have a date to get excited about for Wonder Woman 1984. I mean, before you were just wondering when we're going to see it, but now we know. And it's good to finally have that feeling now. So the hype can officially begin for it now. And we're just a little over a month out. So it's going to be cool to finally see the movie. So yeah. It was a surprising news to me, the fact that they decided to do this, but one that I'm really glad they did.
Yeah, and I'm kind of glad they didn't go with the Mulan route, where it's like
that's
they
a big
charge
deal too.
You.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because my mom wanted to see the Mulan movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of course, she couldn't go to a theater, and she looked it up online and realized it was like what, $30 to see it. Yeah, and she was like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna wait for the Blu-ray or whatever, the digital release or whatever."
Yeah, it'll be on Disney Plus in December, so just a few more weeks.
Yeah. I'm just glad this Wonder Woman 1984 is finally coming out, and no more delays, and everybody gets to see it. And they didn't put a price tag on it where it's like, yeah, I'm not gonna pay $30 to go see a movie. You know, that's a little above what I would like to spend.
I agree, but to be honest, I probably would have done it for Wonder Woman. I probably would have for that.
Really? I still don't think I would.
Well, that's the thing. I could get people to go in on it with me. I can get one of my brothers to like split 15-15. That's almost as much as a movie ticket. So
I guess, yeah.
But yeah, it's great. We don't have to worry about that though. And it is only going to be on there for a month, which is fine. Because I'm sure an actual 4K or Blu-ray and digital release won't be too long after that month. Probably just a couple of weeks, I would imagine.
Yeah, so pretty much just like things were normal and you went to the movie theater, right? Mm-hmm. Wonder Woman 1984 would be in there about a month and a half, and then it'd be, it'd be taken away for another movie, right?
Yeah. So by the time a month rolls around for a big blockbuster release, it's pretty much had its big run already. It's just a few screenings here and there, just a few people going by the time you hit that month period for when it's released. So I totally get it why they would do that.
Yeah. So Tim, after all of this, what would you? Oh, you know what we forgot to do, Tim?
What was that?
Our favorite video game controllers.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I
put that on the show notes, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
I did. Okay, we just forgot about it.
Yeah, so this will be our review section, except no spoilers, because you can't spoil a controller.
Well, we kind of already did for the PS5 DualSense. So.
Oh, right. Yeah. I guess the DualSense, triggers are spoilers.
Yeah. The raindrop effect are spoilers. Yeah.
Or even when you're walking on the sand. Yeah.
Yep.
Or ice skating. In Astro ice skates.
I haven't done that yet, so
yeah, you haven't done. Oh yeah, you should try it.
Cool.
You should try it. It feels really good. Our five, should we say?
Yeah, 5 is always a number.
5 favorite video game controllers. So Tim, what is your number 5?
Number 5, right off the bat, we did talk about it, and I'm going to give it to the PS5 DualSense controller, just for all the reasons I mentioned earlier about how immersive it makes games feel, especially Astro's Playroom. The only reason is not going to rank higher is because it's so new, and I want to see how those features are utilized throughout the life cycle of the PS5, and hopefully it won't be something that's just forgotten and not used by developers. So we'll have to wait and see. But for right now, the potential is just so strong for that controller. So, and it's already cracking my top 5. And it feels good too, even though I said it how it is probably the most Drastically different design for a PlayStation controller, but one that still feels comfortable in your hand. So yeah, that's already in my top 5 as one of my favorite controllers.
Yeah, I don't know if you played the level on Astro's Playroom, but one feature that I always forget that the PlayStation controllers have, the DualShocks and the DualSense, or at least the DualShock 4 had, is the motion control. I don't know if you nobody uses it.
Nope.
I think there was an Uncharted game with it.
The very first one.
Sure. Yeah.
On the PS3,
okay. Yeah, the very first one. Okay. Yeah, because no other studio, whether it be a Sony studio or otherwise, uses that feature. I don't know why. But yeah, my number 5 is the Joy-Cons for the Nintendo Switch, particularly when you're playing Mario. And with the motion controls, you can throw his head, you can do all sorts of things. But also, with that piece of plastic it comes with, that you can slide the Joy-Cons into and use it as an actual wireless controller. I didn't think it would work, but I tried it with Breath of the Wild, and I really, really like it. I know the joystick placements are a little weird. It takes a little while to get used to, with one at the top and one at the bottom, but yeah, I really like it. I really like the Joy-Cons. So that's my number 5.
Yeah, that's a good one. Definitely innovative and kind of game changers. So, which Nintendo usually does or has been doing in the last few consoles that they put out. Some more successful than others, like the Wii U gamepad or whatever that was called, where you couldn't even buy separately. I remember.
So that was the one with the iPad controller.
Yeah,
that sort of big clunky thing.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So Tim, number 4 for you.
Number 4, I'm going to go with a Nintendo one, but it is actually going to be the GameCube controller. I really liked that controller, just how comfortable the grips were. And even the joystick, I really loved how the joysticks felt, both on the top left and the down right. Your main buttons, their shapes were a little weird, could maybe a little bit to get used to, like the X, Y, A, and B buttons. Those are probably not the most thought out layout I would think that Nintendo has done, but you got used to it as you played it. But mainly the grips and the joystick I really liked, and just the size of it too felt really good. And that was the one I think was a little weird too, because it had your 2 triggers, but then you had the Z button at the top, which I know the PlayStation has obviously the triggers and the 2 shoulder buttons, but I think the GameCube only had the one on the right, which was the Z button, which was a little weird. But overall, I really liked how that controller felt more than anything. It felt really comfortable, especially for Smash Brothers Melee. And I think a lot of people, and even Nintendo, realized that because of the fact that you were able to use a GameCube controller, and they made that adapter for the Wii U, and even for now I'm trying to think, you could use it on the Switch, I believe too. But now I'm thinking, because I don't have those adapters for the GameCube controllers, but I imagine it's just through a USB. So I thought I remember people talking about how you could use it on the Switch, but I'm just not 100%.
The GameCube controller?
Yeah, like if it's just a USB adapter that you could plug into one of those Switch ports and then use it there.
I thought it was a completely wireless re-release of the GameCube controller.
Was it? Man, see, you might be right.
I could have swore it was. I could have swore it was a wireless re-release because people really like the GameCube controller, but I'm not sure. So
yeah, neither am I. But regardless, it is a controller that a lot of people still love to use. So, and I could see why. It's definitely one of the more comfortable ones. So that is my number 4.
I'm just looking it up right now. Okay, so they do have a wireless controller.
Okay, so it is
a Switch wireless controller, but also they have a wired one. So I don't think that's the original one, but yeah, I think they just re-released it.
Okay, that would make sense though.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. So.
Now I know.
Okay, so my number 4 is going to be 3. So DualShock 3. That one I put towards the end because it was the first wireless DualShock, but the design was getting a little old with the compact sort of smashed in there design of it. So that's why I put it towards the end. But yeah, I spent so much time with that controller, and just comparing it generation to generation. So comparing it to the Xbox 360 controller, I prefer the DualShock 3. And I just love the sort of I'm going to say it, but it's not going to make any sense in today's world, but revolutionary sort of wireless thing. I didn't think that was a possibility. But yeah, I love the DualShock 3. So Tim, your number 3.
Well, my number 3 was the DualShock 3's competitor, and that is going to be the Xbox 360 controller.
Yeah. That's a bad controller.
I love the grips and how that controller fit in the palm of my hand. It was like it melted into my hand. I loved the grips of it.
It doesn't work, Tim. They need a big redesign on their controllers. I'm sorry.
Now the buttons, the D-pad was awful. The D-pad is the worst aspect of it.
Yeah.
But just the way it just felt so comfortable. I really loved it. And the triggers, the buttons, the joysticks. But like I said, the D-pad was the worst aspect of it. But I just loved the way it felt in my hand. It just felt so good in there. And like you said, the whole wireless aspect, that was my first experience with a wireless controller. That worked really well. And just how it had that home button feature, which was something new. I don't know how you were able to navigate the different areas of the home screen. I remember, like you said, kind of funny to use the word now, but revolutionary at the time. So just all those aspects fitting into that generation of gaming, the fact that it was wireless, the home button, and I just love how it felt in my hand. So I love the Xbox 360 controllers, even though they obviously made some upgrades to it. But I just remember picking it up for the first time, just thinking, "Oh, this feels right."
Okay, so my number 3 is going to surprise you, Tim.
Okay.
Are you ready to be wowed and surprised and shocked?
It's the Virtual Boy, right? The Virtual Boy controller.
It's the Virtual Boy. I'm trying to remember that controller. What did that look like?
I don't even know. I just see it on some advertising boxes.
But it is going to be for the Xbox One. It's going to be the Xbox Elite Pro controller.
Okay, I am surprised you picked that. Yeah, I wasn't expecting any Xbox picks from you on this one.
Look, it is a bad shape. It is heavy, and you got to put a rechargeable battery in that already. I'm sorry, Xbox, but you got to put batteries. You got to put rechargeable batteries in there.
It doesn't have that? See, I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, like
because I never had an Elite controller.
DualShocks. Like the DualShocks and the DualSense. I can't be playing Tomb Raider and then I'm in a big fight scene and I gotta swap out batteries. I gotta go I gotta go dig through drawers and find 2 AA's or whatever it is. You gotta just put some rechargeable batteries in it. But with that being said, that is the smoothest controller I've ever used. If you have not tried one, it's and you love Xbox, it's definitely worth the investment. I know it's like $100.
Yeah.
$120. But it's definitely it's the smoothest, it's the snappiest controller I've ever used. It's bad shape, it's a bad design. I mean, it's a bad look. It's really heavy, but just going off the joysticks, the buttons, the bumpers, the triggers, especially the triggers. And it kind of reminds me of the DualSense in a sense, right? Where it's like there's some resistance to it when you're doing certain things in a video game. It's smooth, and it comes with replaceable parts. The one thing I don't appreciate, especially when you're playing games like Street Fighters or Mortal Kombat or any fighting game, is the D-pad. The D-pad is awful.
That's Microsoft's biggest failing that I can't believe they haven't figured out yet. Their D-pads, they're just all awful.
Yeah, but I don't know if you've seen it for the Elite controller, but it's not up, down, left, right. It's sort of a circle with little indentions in it.
Yeah, I heard it's supposed to be better, but to me it looks worse. And you're kind of confirming that.
It doesn't work, and it's really sensitive. So let's say a move is back and then square or A or whatever, right? Or X, right?
Yeah.
So like you would have to hit that back button on the D-pad exactly. So or that left button exactly, right? So, yeah, it's not, and you would have to hit it accurately because that thing is so sensitive that if your finger is even a little bit off, it'll be
it'll mess up your whole match, right?
It'll mess up your whole combo or whatever. So yeah, that is not a good idea. But another thing I really liked is, and a lot of surprisingly enough, a lot of games don't use it. Is the trigger where you put your there's two triggers on the left side and there's two triggers on the right side, and they're underneath the controller, so they're extra triggers. And you use your middle finger and your ring finger to hit them. I thought that was really cool, especially when you're playing like a racing game. It's definitely an easier way to shift gears. So yeah, for me, it's number 3 is the Elite controller. Even though I give Xbox and Microsoft a lot of criticism for their controller design. So Tim, what is your number 2?
My number 2 pick, and this is probably going to be a cop-out, but I'm going to say just all DualShock controllers, starting with the first one for the PlayStation up into the PlayStation 4. Because like I said, there has been some enhancements and improvements made to them with these console generation, but the basic design and layout has remained consistent and the same. And I just love Sony's approach as far as if it ain't broke, don't fix it to their controller, because that first DualShock controller was really, really great. And the fact that they continue it through the PS2, PS3, and the PS4, I love that they did that, because it really was almost a perfect controller design and layout, and just getting new features added to it with each generation. But the basic feel of it, the button layout, the joysticks, I do prefer the joysticks to where kind of how Microsoft and Nintendo does it, one on the top right, or on the top left, on the bottom right. And with Sony's being both on the bottom, it does, if you're playing once just like for an Xbox for a while, then you go play a PlayStation game, it does feel, I don't want to say it takes a while to get used to, because it doesn't, but it is something that you notice when you're going back to playing a PlayStation game, just where the layout's at. But it is such a great design all across the board, really. And obviously it's a testament to the controller and that design that Sony decided to keep that for a lot of pretty much all their consoles up until the PS5, just to show you just how great of a controller layout it really was. So that is going to be my number 2. Can't really choose a particular one, just because the main thing I love about it is the design and just how it feels in your hand throughout the course. of its different iterations for each console. So it is hard for me to pick one. So that's why I'm copying out and just saying all DualShocks.
All DualShocks. So my second choice is DualShock 4. I played a lot with the DualShock 4. I love the DualShock 4. The DualShocks really needed a redesign for me. Someone that's played from PS1 to all the way to PS4, it really needed a redesign, and I felt like DualShock 4 was the perfect redesign because they spread everything a little more out, and it didn't feel so crammed. Didn't feel like you were coming in so much. But yeah, so for me, it's DualShock 4 because that was the biggest redesign until DualSense. So yeah.
Yeah, even though that was the biggest, it still wasn't a huge difference from the other ones like I was talking about. But
yeah.
All right, so for my number one pick, I'm curious if you're gonna know what it is, Dane. Did you want to take a guess?
I'm gonna say Super NES.
Bingo. That controller is perfection for me. As a kid playing it, no controller felt better in my hands than that one did. And even now, obviously, as I grew up, my hand size got a little bigger, and it doesn't feel quite as comfortable as it did when I was a kid playing it now, but it's still comfortable enough where it just fits like a glove, where it just feels like perfection. And I'm taken back to when I would play games to death on the Super Nintendo, like Street Fighter, and to me, that is the perfect D-pad is on the Super Nintendo. The way that felt and to execute all the combos and special moves for the characters, I played Street Fighter no better than I did with that Super Nintendo controller. There were some moments where I'd be playing with friends where I'd be unbeatable. No one could beat me playing with that controller. It just felt perfect. And it was the first controller that had shoulder buttons, I remember being a big deal at the time. And just going from the Nintendo controller to the Super Nintendo controller, it's just such a huge, huge jump. Obviously, you're getting more buttons. I mentioned the shoulder ones, but then also you get 2 additional ones with the X and Y buttons. And I remember just being, wow, there's all these options and buttons to use on this controller. And it just felt so right playing it for the first time and playing it throughout my childhood and all the Super Nintendo games I would play with it. I just love it to death. I think it's the perfect controller. I know others don't feel that way, but for me, growing up playing that one, no controller felt more comfortable to me in my hands than the Super Nintendo one did. So that's why it is my number one and probably will always remain my number one favorite controller, because no controller felt as great as it did while playing games and being good at certain games like Street Fighter with that controller. So that is why it is my number one all-time favorite video game controller.
You know what mine is, Tim?
I was going to say the DualShock 4. That was going to be my pick, but now that you said it was your number 2, I'm thinking right now, is it already going to be the DualSense? Did that make the jump to number 1 already?
You're a few years off, Tim.
Okay.
I'd say about 24 years.
Okay.
It's going to be the Nintendo 64 controller.
Wow.
It's not, a lot of people don't like it. A lot of people love it. I tend to be in the camp of loving it because that was the first controller that really, really wowed me because, I was used to the original NES controller, Super NES controller. Then the 64 controller comes out, and it's like it has 3 handles, and there's a trigger on the bottom, and there's these yellow buttons, and there's a joystick in the middle, and there's these bumper things. So for me, it's definitely the Nintendo 64 controller is my favorite controller because I I just loved it as a kid. I remember playing so many games with the Nintendo 64 controller, and I'm sure if I went back to it right now, I'd hate it terribly, especially with the Rumble Pack and all of the accessories that you could get for it. Yeah, for me, it's the Nintendo 64 controller because no other controller. DualSense is definitely up there. It's definitely up there, but in terms of how Sony sort of reinvented the controller, but for me, it's definitely the Nintendo 64 controller because it was something that I'd never seen before. I didn't think the controller could look like that. And like it's just with the joystick, and it's like, oh, so this is gonna be like an arcade. This is like a handheld arcade, right? With the controller and the buttons, and what do these yellow buttons do? Sort of thing. So for me, it's definitely the Nintendo 64 controller.
Wow, I am definitely surprised by that. I wasn't expecting it. But like you're right, It definitely is a controller like no other, and it's kind of a love it or hate it type of thing. But that's usually what I am with a lot of things. I'm kind of in the middle towards it. I got used to it. It felt good once you got used to the layout, but it's still far from my favorite. But it was definitely innovative, that's for sure. And I don't think you're ever going to see a controller like that again.
Oh, no way. Not with the 3 handles.
I did love too, because I think it was the first controller where you got options of different colors to choose from it too, which back in the Nintendo, Genesis, Super Nintendo days, it was just the color of the system, and that was it. So to have the different colored options was cool, especially when you played with friends with Mario Kart and Smash Brothers, like a lot of people did on that system that was built for multiplayer, with the first system to have 4 controller ports. So I always liked that, to where you could have your personalized controller and everyone knew what their controller was. At least when I played with my brothers and my friends, when we'd have get-togethers, and we all knew what controllers we had when we were playing Mario Kart or GoldenEye or stuff like that. So yeah, definitely some cool features about it, but definitely surprised that that was your number one.
What color did you have personally?
It was blue. Like blue. Most things where I choose a color, it would always be blue.
Mine was black.
We did have a black one.
Besides the original gray one.
Yeah. The original gray one we had broke after a bit, so eventually we all had different color ones. We had a blue, black, green, and a red one once the gray one broke.
Yeah. The reason why I didn't put DualSense on my list is because I just have to use it more, right? I have to use it. I have to experience it more. I mean, it's like a brand new thing. I mean, it looks like a PS4 controller, but there's so many new things. But yeah, that is our. Does your PS5 turn on when you turn on your TV?
No, it's actually the opposite. My TV turns on when I turn on my PlayStation.
Really?
Like automatically. Because I have a Sony TV, and I think somehow it recognizes that, and it automatically turns on when I turn on the system. It did that for the PS4 as well. So I think it's just something where it recognizes the Sony brand.
Yeah, but my PS4, maybe because it was old or whatever, but my PS4 didn't turn on my TV, but my TV now turns on my PS5.
Oh, that's weird. Is it a Sony TV?
Yeah, it's a Sony.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, I thought that was weird. But anyway, yeah, that's our featured topic /
or featured end topic, review,
I guess. / review of video game controllers. So I guess that's it for us, Tim. We talked all about the PS5. We talked about Miles Morales. Talked about our favorite video game controller. We talked about everything, Tim. It's been a long show, right?
It has.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, it has been a long one, but one that deserved to have this fun discussion with the launch of a PS5, because it's always a big deal when a new console comes out and you're able to get one on launch day. It's such a good feeling. So, glad we were able to share that enthusiasm and excitement for us getting the PS5.
Yeah, and you know what? I got the PS1. The re-release of the original PSX, right? I got that on launch day. I got the PS2 on launch day. I got PS3 on launch day, and I got PS4 on launch day. Even though there was only like 2 games that I could play, which was kind of a bad idea. I should have waited on that one. But I am going to consider that I got the PS5 on the launch day. Am I wrong, or am I right?
No, I would say you could still qualify because you got it before it actually came out, as far as ordering it anyway. But it still took a few days just to get to your house. But it's still in that launch window, so I would say you're still good as counting it.
Okay, all right. So I got pretty much all except for the original PlayStation on launch day, so I'm happy with that. And so
your journey to getting a PS5 had a happy ending, Dane.
Yeah, it had a happy ending at the end. Unfortunately, I can't say the same thing about Xbox 360, right?
No, or you mean the Series X?
That for a while. No, I played the Xbox 360 a long time. I mean, for a little bit. And then what happened to him?
Oh,
what happened to
3 red lights?
Yeah, the red ring of death. And then I changed it. And then I got the red ring of death again. And then I changed it again. And I was like, you know what? Or, sorry, I'm jumping ahead. I got the red ring of death after my second trade-in. And after that, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to stick with the PS3 then. I think I'm just going to stick with PS3 from now on. I think I'm just going to stick with PlayStation as my new generation launch console, right?
And you stuck with it, and I assume it hasn't stirred you wrong yet.
So, what is your rating for the PS5 right now?
I would give it a 4 out of 5. It's really great system that came out of the box at launch. A few things that keep it from being perfect, like the storage space that should be a lot higher, and just a few bugs like that I mentioned in Miles Morales that I would prefer not to have happen as many times as they did. But as a system itself, it's just really great as far as showing what this current console generation is going to be with the fast loading times that you're going to be able to experience now, and just all the detail in the graphics, games looking as good as they've ever been, and with hopefully the innovation of the DualSense and what developers could use to make games more immersive with that is pretty exciting. So just a lot to love about the system. So yeah, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. 4 out of 5. You know what? 3.5 out of 3.5/4 out of 5, because all of the reasons you mentioned, and the design of it. I kind of don't like the design of it and how big it is.
Yeah, I like the design, but it is just a little too big. And they're going to redesign it eventually and make a smaller one. So it's just a matter of when.
And as you well know, Tim, if you have cats, don't stand it up. Lay it flat. It'll be safe.
Mine is standing up, and so far none of the cats have had any issues as far as walking by it and knocking down or anything. It's at a good spot where they don't really go to a lot. So far I've been good with it.
Yeah, me not so much. They are wondering what it is. They're looking at it. They're rubbing against the edge of it. But yeah, 3.5/4 out of 5. Kind of looks like a melted ice cream sandwich.
Yeah. Giant ice cream sandwich, yes.
Yeah, giant ice cream sandwich. But yeah, that's it for us. That's our show. go to BatmanUniverse.net, Facebook.com/BatmanUniverse, or at the Twitter handles at BatmanUniverse. Show's Twitter handle is at Bat-Fans Podcast. Tim's Twitter handle, I will say it again because it's such a great day/recording/month, at TimG311.
Two episodes in a row. Wow.
Yeah, I know. My Twitter handle is at DaneSaysBanana. Rate and reviews on iTunes, and you can email the show at batfanswithoutpants@gmail.com. So like I said at the beginning of the show, I say at the end of the show. I can't believe I screwed that up or whatever.
You're just too excited to get talking about the PS5. That's all.
Yeah. Like we say at the end of every single episode, Tim.
We love each and every one of you with all of our dual sensing hearts.
What you gonna say? PS5 hearts.
I like how dual sensing sounds better.
Dual sensing. Yeah. Yeah. We'll see you guys next time.
See you next time, everybody.
Yeah.